You have never been told why Revelation is built the way it is. A man in his 60s sits alone on a bare rock above the Aegean, his rough robes pulled tight against the evening air. The sound of waves breaks against the cliff below him. A Roman trireme is a small dark shape on the horizon. The island is called Patmos. The man is called John. And the last book of the Bible is about to begin. You've heard of this book. You may have even opened it once, somewhere in the middle. Read a couple of verses about a dragon, or a number, or a lake of fire, and quietly closed it again. But do you actually know why it is built the way it is? This video is for anyone who has ever felt that Revelation was a locked vault. The strangest book in the Bible, written in code, only openable by prophecy experts and end times charts. By the end of the next 15 minutes, you'll be able to hold the whole book in your head. Not the details, the architecture. 7 parts, that's it. Here's the thing almost nobody tells you about Revelation. It's built on 7 parts. That's not a theory. That's the book telling you what it is. 7 churches in chapter 1. 7 seals in chapter 5. 7 trumpets in chapter 8. 7 bowls in chapter 15. John told us the shape of his book with the shape of his own language. Biblical scholar Richard Bauckham has mapped this 7-part literary architecture in detail in his study of the book. Once you see the 7 parts, the book you were told was impenetrable becomes one of the most carefully designed books in the Bible. You stop searching for secret codes, you start reading it the way it was written, as a deliberate, 7-step journey. So let me walk you through all 7. Part 1 is where we just landed, the prologue. Revelation chapter 1. John is in exile on Patmos, a rocky island in the Aegean Sea that Rome used as a prison colony. He hears a voice behind him, loud as a trumpet. He turns, and he sees a figure standing among 7 tall golden lampstands. The figure is robed in white. His face shines like the sun. He holds 7 stars in his right hand. A sharp double-edged sword comes out of his mouth. It is the glorified Christ, and the 7 lampstands, he tells John, are the 7 churches. Then Christ hands John his assignment. Write what you see, send it to those 7 churches. That's part 1. 1 man, 1 island, 1 commissioning vision. The word the book uses for itself right there in the opening verse is the Greek word apocalypsis. It means unveiling, not prediction, not calendar, unveiling. Something that was hidden is being shown. And what's being unveiled first is the assignment itself. If you've ever felt intimidated by Revelation, like it's a book for experts and prophecy teachers, not for you. That's because most of us were introduced to it in fragments, verses lifted out, images clipped from context. Knowing the 7 parts gives you the whole back. So, part 1, the prologue. But if the prologue ends with Christ telling John to write 7 letters to 7 churches, the natural question is this. Who were those 7 churches? And why does a book about the end of the world start with 7 local postcards? Revelation's second part is the one almost nobody realizes is there. Before the dragons, before the horsemen, before anything cosmic. 7 letters to 7 real towns. Towns you could fly to and stand in today. The cities sit along a Roman postal route in what was then the province of Asia, and is now Western Turkey. Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, Laodicea. Every one of those cities has been excavated. You can walk their streets right now. Each letter has the same shape. A title for Christ, a commendation, a rebuke, a warning, a promise. 7 letters, same skeleton, different content in every one. Take Laodicea. The letter calls the church there lukewarm, neither hot nor cold. For centuries, readers treated that as a metaphor for half-hearted faith. Then archaeology caught up. Laodicea in the 1st century had a real water problem. The city had no natural water supply, so water was piped in from far away, and by the time it arrived, it was tepid. Meanwhile, the neighboring city of Hierapolis had famous hot therapeutic springs, and the city of Colossae had cold, clean mountain springs. Scholar Colin Hemmer built an entire study around this. When the letter calls the Laodicean church lukewarm, it's using a local water problem every Laodicean would have instantly recognized. Think about what that means. The book you thought was written for the future was first read aloud in 7 specific churches, in 7 specific cities, by 7 specific congregations, who knew exactly which problem in their own town the letter was naming. If you've ever felt like the Bible was written for some other generation, Revelation quietly does the opposite. It starts by writing to real people at real addresses, which means it's also willing to do the same for the reader holding it now. That's part 2. 7 letters, 7 real cities, 7 customized rebukes. But if the letters end at chapter 3, where does the book go next? And why does it suddenly leap from a desk on earth to a throne in heaven? This is where Revelation changes channels. The letters end, the desk on earth disappears, the camera lifts, and the reader is suddenly somewhere nobody expected. Revelation chapter 4 opens with this line. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. John is invited up, and what he sees is a throne room. There's a rainbow around the throne, 24 elders on 24 smaller thrones, 4 winged living creatures with 4 different faces, a lion, an ox, a man, an eagle. They never stop worshiping. Then, in chapter 5, John sees a scroll. It's in the right hand of the one on the throne. It's sealed with 7 seals. A voice calls out, asking who is worthy to open it. No one answers. No one in heaven. No one on earth. No one under the earth. John starts weeping. Then, he's told to stop. The Lion of the tribe of Judah has prevailed. He looks up to see the lion, and what he sees is not a lion at all. He sees a lamb, standing, but also slain, with 7 horns and 7 eyes. The lamb takes the scroll, and the whole throne room erupts in worship. Here's the strangest image in the whole Bible maybe. John is told to look at a lion. He turns, and he sees a lamb. Think about what that swap is saying. The worthy one isn't the loudest creature in the room, it's the one who has already paid the cost. If you've ever felt that the world's real power is the kind that roars, Revelation quietly rearranges the throne room. The one the whole room is worshiping is the one who bled. Then the Lamb opens the scroll, seal by seal. The first 4 seals release 4 horsemen, white for conquest, red for war, black for famine, pale for death. The 5th seal shows martyrs under an altar, crying out, asking how long. The 6th seal shakes the sky. The 7th seal opens onto silence. Half an hour of silence in heaven. And in between the 6th and 7th seals, the book pauses. It shows 144,000 sealed from the tribes of Israel, and a great multitude from every nation standing before the throne, in white robes. Many scholars read these 2 groups as complementary pictures of the same people. One seen from earth, and one seen from heaven. Though other readers have long held that they represent 2 distinct groups. That's part 3, the throne room, the Lamb, the scroll, and the 7 seals. That's one cycle of 7. But the book is about to run a second cycle of 7 right after, with trumpets instead of seals. Why does it need a second round? And why does the second round sound louder than the first? After the silence, something new. 7 angels receive 7 trumpets. The book is about to run the same 7-step pattern again, but louder, and with different sound effects. The first 4 trumpets bring ecological devastation. A third of the earth burns, a third of the sea turns to blood, a third of the rivers go bitter, a third of the sky goes dark. The fractions are deliberate. This isn't total destruction yet, it's escalation. The 5th trumpet releases locusts from a bottomless pit, locusts with human faces and lion teeth. The 6th trumpet releases an army so vast, the book counts it at 200 million riders. And between the 6th and the 7th trumpet, the book pauses again, just like it did with the seals. John eats a little scroll that's sweet in his mouth but bitter in his stomach. 2 witnesses prophesy for 1,260 days. They are killed in the city where their Lord was crucified, and they rise again after 3.5 days. Then the 7th trumpet sounds, and loud voices in heaven declare, "The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Christ." Here's the thing about Revelation that most readers miss. The trumpets mirror the seals. Same pattern, same shape, same pause before the 7th, same declaration of victory at the end. The book isn't telling you one thing after another. It's looping back over the same ground, from higher and higher altitudes. If you've ever wondered why Revelation feels repetitive, like it ends the world and then keeps going, this is why. The book is a spiral, not a straight line. That's part 4, the 7 trumpets. If the book is finally starting to feel like a map instead of a maze, share this video with someone who's always wanted to read the last book of the Bible and didn't know where to start. That's who this one's for. So let's take a breath and see where we've been. 1 man on a rocky island, receiving an assignment. 7 letters to 7 real cities and 7 real mailing addresses. A throne room in heaven, a slain lamb, and a scroll opened seal by seal. And now 7 trumpets, sounding a second time over the same ground at a higher altitude. 4 parts already, each one tighter than it looked. The last three parts are where the architecture of the whole book clicks into place, and where Revelation stops feeling like chaos and starts looking like a map. But first, a question. The book has run 2 full cycles of 7, so why does it stop the cycles now for 3 straight chapters to show a dragon? Now the book does something strange. It stops the cycles. No seals, no trumpets, no bowls yet. Just 3 chapters sitting in the middle of Revelation, like the load-bearing column in a building. This is the cosmic center of the book, and the part every painter, every novelist, and every heavy metal album has borrowed from. Before we step inside, try this image with me. Think about walking into a medieval cathedral for the first time. From the doorway, it looks like chaos. Stained glass in every direction, stone carvings on every surface, side chapels tucked into corners, saints you've never heard of staring down from the ceiling. But the moment someone points out the floor plan, a cross laid flat into the ground, with the altar at the head and the door at the foot. Every window, every chapel, every carving finds its place. That's what the 7 parts do for Revelation. The book you thought was chaos is actually a floor plan. Once you see it, you can walk through it. So, chapter 12. A pregnant woman appears in the sky. She's clothed with the sun. The moon is under her feet. A crown of 12 stars is on her head. And a huge red dragon, with 7 heads and 10 horns, is coiled beneath her, waiting to devour her child the moment it's born. The child is born. It's caught up to the throne. The dragon fails. And then in chapter 12, verse 9, the book does something it almost never does. It tells you directly who the dragon is. It says the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan. No code, no decoding needed. The book names its own symbol. Then, chapter 13. 2 beasts appear. One rises from the sea. It has 7 heads and 10 horns, matching the dragon. The second beast rises from the land. The second beast forces everyone to worship the first. And the beast has a number, 666. Here's what most scholars read this as. In the 1st century, Hebrew letters had number values assigned to them. The ancient practice is called gematria. When you spell Nero Caesar in Hebrew letters and add up the numerical values, you get 666. And here's the detail that locks the identification. Some of the oldest manuscripts of Revelation read 616 instead, which also matches a variant spelling of Nero Caesar. 2 different spellings, 2 different totals, same man. Stay with me for a second. This sounds like conspiracy territory. It isn't. It's how most mainstream scholars read this passage today. And the word the book uses for itself, apocalypsis, unveiling, is doing work right here. The book pulls a curtain back. The beast the first readers were being pressured to worship wasn't a theological abstraction. It was an emperor. If you've ever lived under pressure to pretend something was true that you knew wasn't, from a boss, from a crowd, from a culture, these chapters were written first, for people who lived under that pressure every day. The book isn't scolding them, it's telling them the truth about who's actually behind the pressure. That's part 5. The dragon, the woman, the beasts, and the number everyone has heard of and almost nobody understands. But if the beast points to Rome's emperor, what happens when Revelation finally lets Rome itself step onto the stage by name? Part 6 is where the book's disguise comes off. Chapters 15 and 16 deliver the 3rd cycle of 7. 7 bowls of wrath poured out in rapid succession. The pace is fastest here. No interludes, no pauses, just 7 plagues one after another, ending at a place called Armageddon. That word comes from the Hebrew Har Megiddo, which means Mount Megiddo. It's a real location in northern Israel where many ancient battles were fought. Then chapter 17 shows a woman. She's seated on a 7-headed beast. She's dressed in purple and scarlet. She's holding a golden cup. And she has a name on her forehead. Babylon the Great. But chapter 17 verse 9 does something the book has been refusing to do for 16 chapters. It hands you the decoder key. It says this: the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman is seated. Rome was famous across the entire ancient world for being built on 7 hills. Every 1st century reader would have heard this line and known exactly which city was being named. Babylon is Rome. Not a guess, the book tells you. Then chapter 18 sings a funeral song over Babylon's fall. The merchants weep, the kings mourn, the empire's economy collapses in 1 hour. If you've ever wondered why Revelation feels so angry at an empire, it's because the first readers were an empire's minority. The book isn't rage for rage's sake. It's the voice of the people the empire was pressuring, finally naming what was happening to them. That's part 6, the 7 bowls and Babylon named at last. And if Babylon falls and the beast is defeated, What is the book possibly saving for its last 4 chapters? And why does everything the Bible has been building toward since Genesis show up in the ending? The 3 cycles are done. The enemy is named. And now the book does the thing nobody expects from a book called the Apocalypse. It ends with a wedding. Revelation 19. Heaven rejoices. The marriage supper of the Lamb. Christ returns as a rider on a white horse. The beast and the false prophet are defeated. Chapter 20. Satan is bound for 1,000 years. The millennium. Many Christian traditions read the 1,000 years as symbolic, while others hold to a literal 1,000-year reign. Christians disagree about exactly what it means, but the text is clear on the ending. Satan is released one last time, defeated permanently, thrown into a lake of fire. And then, the great white throne judgment. Death itself is thrown into the fire. Then chapters 21 and 22, a new heaven, a new earth, and a city descending from the sky. The New Jerusalem, a cubic city of gold, streets of transparent gold, gates of pearl, walls of jasper. There's no temple inside, because God himself is the temple. There's no sun, no moon, because God is the light. A river flows out of the throne. The tree of life grows on its banks. And the book ends with this: no more curse, no more tears, no more exile. The word the book started with, apocalypsis, unveiling, reaches its climax right here. What's unveiled at the end isn't the end of the world. It's the beginning of a new one. And here's what gets me about this last image. The whole Bible starts in a garden with a river, a tree, and God walking with people. And here at the end of the last book, the city descends from heaven, with a river running through it, the tree of life growing on its banks, and God living with people again. Imagine hearing the first note of a song you don't recognize, and then hours later, after the whole symphony has played out, hearing the same note return as the final one. That's what Revelation does with Genesis. The Bible is a song, and this is the last note. That's part 7, the final victory, and the new creation. So here's what to take with you from all this. First, Revelation was written to real people, not to our generation, not to any one modern country. It was written to Christians in 7 actual cities in the Roman province of Asia, living under pressure from an empire that demanded they worship the emperor. Knowing who first received this book changes everything about how it reads now. Second, the book isn't asking you to predict the future. The word it opens with, apocalypsis, means unveiling. Revelation isn't a cryptic calendar. It's a curtain being pulled back on a story that's been going on the whole time, underneath everything you can already see. And the third thing, the one that stays with me most, is the shape of the whole journey. Revelation starts with one man, alone on a rocky Greek island, hearing a voice behind him, and it ends with a whole city descending from the sky. A river running through it, a tree bearing fruit, and the end of exile for everyone who ever remembered a rocky island. The architecture of the 7 parts isn't a trick, it's the shape of a homecoming. If you've ever been in exile, not from a country, but from anything that used to feel like home, the book's final image was written for you. A man alone on a rocky island in the Aegean, hearing a voice behind him. That is how the book begins. It ends with a city descending, a river running through it, and the end of exile for anyone who still remembers that rock. If this helped the last book of the Bible feel less like a vault, subscribe and like the video.